Hello, it's Wednesday, September 6th, 2017, and as of this recording, I'm still depressed, but I'm not dead. Hey everyone, thanks for taking time out of your day to download and listen to the show. I really appreciate it. It's kind of, it's kind of neat. With the podcast, I get, some statistics on downloads and whatnot, and I've mumbled about them before on the show, but it's interesting and a little bit exciting now to see that I'm getting about 50 downloads a day, which, you know, it isn't earth-shattering, but it's fun to kind of look in the morning and see where I'm at, and then look in the afternoon and see where I'm at, and see that more shows have been downloaded. Thank you, every single one of you, for taking time out, like I said, and listening to the show. I appreciate it. I am humbled by it, and just thank you. And on that note, keep sharing the show if you have. If you haven't, think about it. I'd appreciate it. Keep in mind that the object of the show isn't to boost my ego or get me excited in the morning and then again in the afternoon or when I lay down to bed to see how many times my voice has been listened to. The real goal is to get a voice out there. The only voice I have is mine. But to get a voice out there for those who are suffering, those who are feeling isolated and alone, those who think that, you know, gosh, this is awful. No one feels the way I feel. And while that's true, no one feels exactly the way you feel. You'll find the more you listen, the more you speak to others, that there's a lot of similarities in how those of us suffering from depression or other mental illnesses have in common. So yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for downloading. Thanks for sharing. Thank you. So I've got a few different little topics to go on about today. It is currently 4:30 a.m. and Nora is out of town. So I've got this time bouncing around the house doing nothing. I don't have to be quiet to let her sleep. So I thought I'd record a show and, see what I can do about getting it out later today after work. So let me tell you how you can get a hold of me. jamoalki@gmail.com, www.jamoalki.info, @jamoalki on Twitter, facebook.com/jamoalki. That's JAMOALKI. And remember, you can text me at 248-648-1419. You know, get a hold of me. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know what you think about the show. Whatever's on your mind. Let's chit chat and have a conversation. And now that that's taken care of, let's get on with the show. So I wrote a blog post just the other day, kind of getting into how I feel I've been struggling lately. And I wanted to kind of explore that a little bit more here on the show. And yeah, for a few weeks now, really since about just before I went and watched the eclipse. So it was that August 21st. Yeah, so since about then, when I was feeling kind of out of sorts with my really messed up sleep schedule for that week, essentially the day surrounding it, right? I went off, drove 12 hours, and had to drive 12 hours back home. So my sleep was really messed up then, and naturally I was feeling kind of low and blah. And I just haven't snapped back out of it yet. I've probably declined more in the couple weeks since then, even throughout the week when my girls were here. There was a lot of similarities between the things that I was thinking and feeling as the things that I think and feel when I've been at my not quite my lowest, but heading that way. But the difference this time is I don't feel quite as overwhelmed by it. I don't feel so defeated by these feelings. I don't feel so down in general about them. And I got to be honest, the one thing that's really changed is started taking that Abilify a while back, which has messed up my sleep. But, I contend that it's really helped me to maintain a better attitude, maintain a little more stable attitude. And, I hear you asking, well, what are you talking about? You're just telling us how you're struggling as much as you've had most of the time in the past, but yet you're saying this Abilify is working. And, so I wanted to talk about those, kind of run through my symptoms real quick and kind of try to explain it. So one of the bigger things that is going on is just my desire to sleep all the time, and not really the lack of sleep maybe that I'm experiencing, but more the kind of, hey, I want to go to sleep so this day is over. I want to nap the whole afternoon away so that I don't have to face anything or face myself even. That kind of really withdrawn sleeping, not as much as regenerative sleeping. And I've been trying to stay on top of it, try to fight it. If I do end up laying down for a nap, I set an alarm for anywhere from a half hour to an hour. And the biggest struggle is in the evening. Even with Nora here, I find myself not wanting to do anything or being unable to decide what to do. And, I just feel that, I don't know, that strife, that kind of, it's like a battle internally between, hey, why don't you just pack it in, go to sleep? Yeah, but it's 8:00. Maybe you should stay up a little bit longer. What are you going to do that? Watch TV? No. Nora and I talk a lot, but we don't have those kind of, 1 hour conversation about things. She's more attuned to that, I think, but I am not. If I can't get my point across in, say, 5 minutes, then I don't want to have that conversation. So, like the other night I made bagels because that's a 2-hour investment in time. And I did that. I made it till like 9:05. Then I went to sleep. Stayed in bed for like 9 hours, slept for probably 7 of them. But, so sleeping, that kind of withdrawn, I don't want to deal with anything. I don't want to think about myself. I just want to go to sleep. I have been sad quite a bit lately. Not to the point of tears, although last therapy session I had with Alex, we talked about my girls for about the whole time, and I was really thinking that I was going to cry there, but I didn't. I made sure I didn't. I'm not sure why. But yeah, that's definitely a tear-jerking trigger point for me, is talking about my girls, all 4 of them. And so I'm not going to get into that right now because we don't want to cry at, 4:45 in the morning. But I try to accept that I feel sad and not let it run my day. Kind of that experience the sadness and then just let it be. And so I'm trying to do that. And I think I'm doing an okay job. And so indecisiveness, I mentioned that. Trying to stay up later. What am I going to do to stay up later? And I can't think of anything to do. I mentioned in my blog post, before I decided to make bagels, I was up out of the bed and back in the bed probably a dozen times, laying in bed thinking, okay, bagels, let's go, get up and, get 2 steps away from the bed and have my depressed mind say, well, that's stupid. Get back in bed. I get back in bed. A couple minutes later, okay, bagels. Great. It's great. You can stay up for another 2 hours or so. Get up, get over to the door, and you idiot. What the hell are you thinking about making bagels? That's just stupid. Back in bed. Get up, go watch TV with Nora. Okay, get up, get my feet over the edge of the bed, and, no, I don't want to. If I watch a TV show, I'll probably just fall asleep. there's literally in my mind nothing worthwhile to watch on TV, which isn't true. I know, but everything seems so trivial when it's on TV right now. Overeating is always been a big problem when I'm feeling down. Yes, I substitute love with food. I substitute fulfillment with food, and I've been trying hard to stay ahead of that. My diet was pretty lousy the days I was driving out to Wyoming and back, and out to Michigan and back to get the girls. And so I'm trying to get back into the diet thing. I'm a little worried my new clothes I bought for work aren't going to fit as they were. The plan was they were a little snug, maybe, when I bought them, but I was losing weight, so it was going to be fine. And I'm not really sure. I've been wearing the 38 jeans to work yesterday and again today, so we'll see. Next week we'll see what fits me. But yeah, so I was doing okay, trying, like, oh my gosh, I just want to eat something sweet. Oh my gosh. My littlest one, Jay, she is doing a 21-day challenge where she's not eating things like white bread. She's not eating chocolate or candy or ice cream or some other things. I can't think of what they are, but it's a kind of a healthy eating challenge. And when I found out about it was just when I was picking her up to bring the girls back here. And so I said, you know what? That's what you're doing. I'm going to do it too while you're here. And that's helped me out a bit. It's kept me away from chocolatey candies. The ice cream thing has kept me off of ice cream. White bread isn't as big a deal. I don't eat that much kind of bread. I am going under the impression that bagels are not white bread. But I don't know that that's true, but that's my rationalization for that. And so anyway, so that's kept me kind of on the straight and narrow. Last night was BOGO for Topper's Pizza. So buy one, get one free, and so I thought, okay, I'll just have they have a Misa pizza. It's a little bit bigger than a personal pan pizza, but it's, regular crust, or you can get on thin crust, whatever. So, only a chump doesn't get the free one. So I ordered 2 little pizzas thinking, I'll eat one tonight. Not the best of caloric decisions, but, I'll eat one tonight and then I'll have the other one. I can package it up and kind of eat it. Cold pizza for breakfast, yum. Pizza for lunch, yum. Whatever. And no, I sat down and I ate them both without really any thought of, well, what are you doing, dude? You're eating 2 pizzas. But yeah, I kept eating away and thought I would find happiness and contentment with each bite. And all I really found was yummy, yummy pizza. So along with that overeating is that empty feeling. I feel needy, I think, is how I explained it to Nora last night. Something clearly isn't setting right with me that I can't identify. And so I feel needy at the same time as not wanting to be connecting with people. So, I'm hung up right now on getting a new laptop, a new refurbished laptop. I've realized the computer here is getting a little old. It's not that old. It still does everything that we need it to do. But I've noticed that editing the podcast goes a little bit slower than it has in the past. Things like Microsoft Office are kind of laggy. And just overall in general, it's what, 5 years old now, which is pretty good lifespan for current computer processing, I guess. Is by no means junk. It's not, we're not going to toss it out. But, I thought, well, what if I got a laptop that was more powerful than the desktop and I could do my editing and recording there, use it for work, replace my Chromebook with it. And then, and the bonus would be that Nora and I could play Civilization 5 or 6 together the way it's meant to be on separate screens. Yeah. So, but realistically, we don't have $500 to drop on a laptop. And I've spent hours kind of figuring out where I have extra money that I could lower that down so our bank account only gets a hit of, say, $200, and then presenting that to Nora. But yeah, I don't know that I can't figure out if we really need a laptop. Obviously, we don't need it, but if it would be as big a benefit in our household as I currently think it would be. So I just don't know. But it's nagging at me every couple of minutes. I kind of, I go back and look to find where I can get one. How does it compare to what we've got, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. And I kind of am concerned that I'm trying to fill up some empty space with a new laptop in my heart, my cold heart. And so also, like, nothing is fun right now. Nothing. Playing video games, going for walks, exercising, watching TV, going to work, talking with anybody is just not something that sounds enjoyable whatsoever. And that includes Nora. I think a big part of that is I don't want it to be obvious to her how much I'm struggling. And I don't know why, but it's in my head that, if we spend more time talking, she's going to see it, and then she's going to worry, and I don't have a solution at the ready for this. So I'm kind of keeping it from her. If I felt like, hey, this is really bottoming out and I don't have control over this, then I would talk to her and say, hey, I need some help. But as of right now, I still feel like I'm managing, and I don't feel in danger from myself or anything like that. So yeah, I don't know. In my head, it's just best to let it go for a little bit with her. And finally, even more so than general, but nothing I do feels important. Nothing that would be described as a good deed or helpful deed or random act of kindness or, things that I generally do, but they're unimportant. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. So that's kind of where I'm at. And it's, like I said, it's really reminiscent of some of my darker days and, the days and weeks leading up to my darker days. But I still feel like I'm managing it, like I'm aware of these things going on. And I'm, either depending on what it is, I'm either kind of letting it exist and not fretting about it, or I'm actively trying to kind of do something proactively about it. I guess, is that proactive or reactively? I guess reactively about it. So yeah, I mean, if it weren't for what I assume is the Abilify that I'm on, then I probably wouldn't be podcasting today. I would be laying in bed till the last possible minute before I had to go to work, or figuring out what excuse I'm going to use to text my boss and say, hey, I got to push my stores back today because I'm not feeling well. How to cough over text. I don't know. So that's where I'm at with that. Some other news. Alex, my therapist, has listened to a few podcasts. We talk about it on, during therapy. And I don't have an issue with it because my show is just out there for anyone to listen to. I think I'm going to talk with him. I have an appointment today, and say, hey, listen, if I'm going to do a show that I would rather you didn't listen, I will just come right out and say, in the kind of the first bit that, hey, this is not a show for Alex. And, I expect that he will, respect that and say, okay, yeah, okay, he doesn't want me to listen to this one. That's fine. I don't know that there are many things that will come up. I guess if I'm going to do a show about how big a jackass Alex was last therapy appointment, maybe I don't want him to listen to that. But, I want to have that kind of ability to say, hey, this one's not for you. And I need to talk to him a little bit about, hey, if you want to listen, because you find value in it, great. But I'd rather, unless it's um, extremely important in your eyes, I'd rather my podcast wasn't fodder for therapy talk, if that makes sense. So yeah, we'll see. We got a little bit of talking to do about that, but we'll see. And that kind of brought me to another idea that those of you who listen, if you are seeing a therapist, seeing a psychiatrist, psychologist, whatever, I was wondering how you would feel about telling them about my show. And because I'm curious to know what a professional thinks about the show. Maybe, I don't know that, if you say, hey, here's this thing, and, he said, wow, wouldn't it be great if you listened to it? I don't know that they would. They're probably all very busy people, and I don't know that I'd get any feedback from them. But if you guys could do that for me, that would be great. I'm really interested to see what, a master social work or a licensed clinical social worker or psychiatrist or whomever thinks about these shows. So yeah, if you could do that for me, if you're comfortable doing it, that would be great. Obviously I understand if folks are uncomfortable with it. And I get the impression through conversations I have with some of you folks out there is that you kind of enjoy that this is just like our thing, right? Like you get to listen to me. So, whatever, just a thought I had. So thanks in advance for that. Also, while I'm asking for help, I really would love to have help with my blog. The show I did, the last episode that came out when I was talking with Matt from Surviving My Past, made me realize how valuable it is to get new additional voices into a setting. And if anybody is willing to share their story to put on my blog, that would be great. I would love it. You could, bounce some ideas off me if you like. I think it's pretty obvious, at least I hope it's obvious, that I don't hold back on anything. So, there's no story that would be unfit for my podcast, my blog. So yeah, if you're a writer and you don't mind, that would be great. Katie, maybe we can do something, swap blog posts or something like that would be great. Anybody else think about it? Let me know. You rock. Thank you. And so, yeah, I guess that's about it for me. I did want to bring up, and this might be a little touchy for some folks, but I wanted to bring up the fact that, in the Northern Hemisphere, winter is on its way. Fall is on its way. Here in Minnesota, it sure feels like fall. It's about 42 in the morning. We got some warm days coming up, but, it feels like fall. And, since June 21st, the days have been getting shorter, the nights have been getting longer. And I wanted to take this opportunity to revisit something I had just said in passing before. And the idea is seasonal affective disorder is something that is pretty commonly talked about. But I wanted to put out there just for you guys to think about if you're one who you think the seasons do affect you or the shorter days affects you in a negative mental health way. And the current thinking on seasonal affective disorder is that if it is a thing, it's not attributed to, ironically, seasons, the amount of sunlight you get, or the cold weather. There's been many studies. Biggest one surveyed about 34,000 people and had them fill out I think it was a PHQ-9, which is pretty common for those with depression. And had them fill it out for, I think it was a year, might have been a little more than a year, so there was some overlap. And they found that there was no significant change in the rates of depression based upon season or amount of sunlight or temperature. Now, I'm not saying that, if you think you're affected by SAD, seasonal affective disorder, SAD, that you're wrong or that you're misguided. What I'm trying to get out is to say, hey, maybe in winter you find yourself being more down. Well, it's not a disorder probably not a disorder brought on by the earlier nights, the weather, the season, things like that. You may be affected by those, but I guess what I'm getting at is try not to just kind of throw your hands up and say, oh, it's winter, sad is here, and I'm going to feel terrible till April 5th or whatever. Maybe spend some time and think about what it is that's really getting at you. And maybe it is the shorter days. So if you have that information, then maybe you can come up with a plan to kind of beat it without just shrugging and saying, well, I can't do much about it. It's a disorder, seasonal affective disorder. I feel like I'm rambling on this a little bit. So, if I do show notes for this show, which I need to get back into, I will put some links up to the studies that I'm referring to. And, and please don't listen to Cosmo or Oprah or Dr. Oz or any of those kind of people when they tell you, oh, yeah, look out, October's coming and you're going to feel like oh, yeah, October's coming and you're going to feel like poo. It's not that easy, I guess, of a solution. But, knowledge and information is powerful, and hopefully you might look at it and say, okay, hey, you know what? All I really need to do is change these couple things. So I've rambled on long enough about that. I've ticked off enough people about that. So yeah, I guess that's it. I probably should be on my way. Got to get ready for work, and the sun will be up in, I don't know, hour and a half. So I guess I better get ahead of it. So you guys, thanks again for listening. Thank you. Wherever you download the show from, if you could give me a rating so I turn up more frequently in searches for other people to find the show and hopefully find a voice that they enjoy listening to, that they benefit from. So thanks, guys. Everybody be safe and be well.